You're live. You're live.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
But again.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. We'll call this meeting to order. This open meeting of the Town of Auburn Board of Selectmen is being conducted both in person and remotely, consistent with Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, which suspends the requirement of open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed to participate remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For the public to join the meeting remotely, by telephone, you can dial 1-408-650-3123 using access code 235-235-861. The public can also join via computer at www.global.go-to-meeting.com/join/235-235-861. All supporting materials that have been provided to the members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the agenda posted. And with that, we will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So for public comments, first we have remotely Doreen Goodrich.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, but I do have to get to a 7 p.m. meeting. But I wanted to take a minute really to sincerely congratulate you on your last meeting and your last meeting as you chair the Board of Selectmen. I know for sure at times it can be a thankless job, but we do it because we care. And that showed in each and every one of your meetings, each and every one of the votes that you took. I know you've certainly had a challenging chairmanship with a 4-member board. There's a reason that there are 5 members, and I have always believed that anyone who comes before the board should have a full complement of the board to have a vote taken. So you know your hands were a little bit tied there, but you did a great job as chairman. I thank you for your service as one who's been there, and again, congratulations. Each one of your meetings truly showed that you truly care about Auburn. So congratulations as you move on.
Thank you very much, Ms. Goodrich. All right, and we have Ed Kasanovich.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I truly wanted to thank you for your leadership and your guidance since being elected to the board. It's much appreciated. And I know I speak on behalf of our former town manager, Julie Jacobson, and our assistant town manager, Dory Vecchio, who truly appreciates the value you brought to the board. You are a true professional, and the decisions that you have made through the years, I know were done in the best interest of our residents in the community. You've always made yourself available to town administration, and you've listened, and you've heard the issues, and you helped rectify the problem. So much thanks there. And finally, thank you for being a friend. I want to wish you and your family good luck and happiness in your future endeavors, and feel free to come visit at any time. We always have an open door, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'll address this real quick myself. These past 3 years have been phenomenal. It's been an honor and pleasure serving with you guys, with past members as well, Doreen Goodrich, Lionel Berthium, Tristan Little-Liberty. Even when we don't agree on everything, we're always able to have spirited conversation and argument, and I appreciate you guys for that, so thank you. Town administration, we are such a damn lucky town to have you guys. You guys are really top-notch. I've seen it firsthand. Believe me, I've looked at things with a critical eye, and I'd be critical in spaces where I felt it was needed. We're a really well-run town government. And it's from the top all the way down to the bottom, department heads all the way to the bottom, just phenomenal. So it's been a pleasure working with you guys. This has been a tough decision for me. I'm a loyal guy, so choosing not to run again was hard for me to do. You know, my mother was always very much involved in town. I wanted to continue that, and I wanted to show my daughters, too, the importance of, you know, standing up and running and helping out your community. But somewhere during the middle of it all, nobody prepares you for this as a dad, and this is an honest answer here. I lost the title as daddy and became dad somewhere along the line, and, you know, you realize that time is fleeting. And if I were to run again, my oldest would be graduating at the time when my next term would be over. So for me, at this time, it was the right decision. But I do love this, so I'm sorry, guys, I might be back at some point in the future. But thank you very much, thank you. All right, moving on to public hearings, presentations. We have agenda item 3A, 99 Restaurants of Boston LLC, 793 Southbridge Street, Auburn. We have a change of officer, director, LLC managers. Do we have anyone presenting on that matter?
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Pisano. I'm here on behalf of the 99 restaurant. This is just a
Elizabeth
change of
Pisano
officers application. There are no changes to the restaurant operations. The manager is staying the same. It's just a change at the corporate level.
Right. Sorry, we were having trouble hearing you right at the start. If I could just have you restart that, but just 1 second. Do we have a motion to open the hearing?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
Just, Mr. Chairman, just so you know, Sarah is with us.
Oh, okay. Do we need to
Yeah,
do a
I'm
roll-
sorry, I was a little late. It took
Oh,
me a
that's
minute
fine.
to get logged in.
Should we do a roll call vote for attendance then, since we have somebody remotely?
Yes.
Okay, all right. My apologies, we're going to back off the public hearing real quick. So, Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mr. Chambers,
Yes.
Ms. Ruffey,
Yes.
and the chair is present. Okay, so now we have our roll call. All right, my apologies, a little rough start there. So back to the 99 restaurants, if we could reopen that.
That's why we did the roll call, I thought.
Oh, the roll call was for attendance, under the rules.
Oh, all right.
Yep.
Okay. You're right on it. I will make a motion to open the hearing.
Okay. Motion and a second. All those in favor? Mr. Carpenter?
We gotta do that roll call, yes.
Mr. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffey?
Yes.
And the chair is a yes. All right, my apologies, Elizabeth, if you could just start again.
Sure. My name is Elizabeth Pisano. I am from Upton, Connell, and Devlin. Counsel on behalf of the 99 restaurant. This is just a change of officers application. There are some LLC managers leaving and new ones have been added at the corporate level. There are no changes to the manager of record or no changes to the restaurant. All the operations are remaining the same. It's just a change at the corporate level.
Okay. All right, any questions from the board members? Okay. And town administration?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And do we have any public comment on the matter? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffey?
Yes.
And the chair is a yes. And do we have a further motion on the application?
I'll make a motion that we approve the changes subject to our typical language.
Okay.
I will second that.
Motion and a second. Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffey?
Yes.
And the chair is a yes. It is a vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. All right, moving on to 3B, we have change of manager, Apple New England LLC for Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar located at 680 Southbridge Street in Auburn, Massachusetts. And again, do we have a motion to open the hearing?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffey?
Yes.
And the chair is a yes. And do we have anyone presenting on this matter? Let's see, Mr. Williams?
My name's Paul Williams.
Good
I'm
evening.
the new general manager of Applebee's.
Good evening.
I became the general manager 6 weeks ago, and I'm changing the general manager at the restaurant. Nothing else is changing.
Okay. All right, any questions from the board members? Okay, seeing none, town administration?
No concerns, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And do we have any public comment questions on the matter? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffey?
Yes.
And the chair is a yes. Do we have a further motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the change subject to our customary language.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffey?
Yes.
And the chair is a yes. Thank you, Mr. Williams. That's all set.
Thank you. You have a good night.
You too. All right, there are no communications, so moving on to agenda item 5, select board items. We have common vic license and hotel motel license applications for the Comfort Inn located at 426 Southbridge Street in Auburn. You guys should have the information in the packets from DCG. Any questions on this application?
Just a general question, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
This is just a change of ownership, so this, if I followed the thread correctly, somebody purchased it, so we just need to reissue the licenses, there's no change to their services.
That was my understanding. I do not believe we have anyone presenting on this matter. Was that your understanding?
That was my
No.
understanding.
Yeah, actually, I'm here. My name is Sabina Rizvi. Good evening. I am actually the owner of the Comfort Inn, the new owner of the Comfort Inn. And we have not closed yet because we are waiting for these licenses. It is a change of ownership, exactly as stated.
Okay, and did you hear the question from my colleague in regard to any change of services or operations?
No. The only thing is it's my husband and I that will be operating this hotel, and we're actually coming out of Minnesota. We reside in Minnesota here, and we have a couple of choice properties already, so we're very familiar with all the rules and regs of the franchise agreement in the city and the state and the town.
So through you, Mr. Chairman, so you want a common victual license, are you just providing breakfast? Is there any sort of accommodation for meetings, things like that?
As of right now, the hotel does not provide a hot continental breakfast. I know that they're doing a pre-package, and we've applied for our food license as well. As far as change of any services or accommodation changes, there are none. It's going to be as is.
Okay.
It's a very small property, so, it's just basically renting rooms and providing a hot breakfast. There's no pool. There's no other guest amenities that would be utilized at this time.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
It's my understanding the previous owner did have a common vic license as well. All right, no further questions on the board side? All right. Town administration?
No.
All right, seeing none, do we have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the license for the common victualler subject to our typical language.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffey?
Yes.
And the chair is a yes. That is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You as well.
Thank you.
Moving on-
Bye.
Moving on to agenda item 5B, we have gift acceptances. I'm excited about this one. So we have fire rescue, we have a donation for ambulance and equipment, and I believe we do have some presenters here this evening.
Mr. Chairman, just before we move on, I didn't make a motion on the hotel license, just on the common vic. I thought we'd want to take those separately. They had two. I know, when I looked through it, I was like, oh, there's a second one. So they have a common vic and the hotel license. So I'm happy to make a motion for it.
Oh, my apologies, I thought you had included both of those. If you could, please.
I would make a motion that we approve the hotel license subject to our standard language.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffey?
Yes.
And the chair is a yes. Okay. My apologies, gentlemen.
No? Let's start with them.
Sure. And I see we have Mr. Shinet here this evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good. I have Donna Bacon and Donna Garland here with me.
Good evening.
Okay, we are the executors, personal representatives, okay, for the estate of Deborah Farnham Virgilio. And I have a letter here to the board that I'd like to read.
Absolutely.
Okay, to the Select Board, this is regarding the donation of an ambulance. Okay, Deborah Farnham Virgilio was a longtime Auburn resident and a descendant of the Kingdom family of Auburn. Upon her passing, she left instructions to her executors to distribute a sum of money that will purchase a new ambulance for the town of Auburn in memory of her parents, Earl W. Farnham Jr. and Marion Kingdom Farnham. As co-executors and personal representatives, we, Joseph Shinet, Donna Garland, Donna Bacon, would like the estate to assume the responsibilities for all of the invoices for the purchase of this new ambulance. The commitment is for the sum up to $525,000 as concurred by Chief Coleman. As the town receives the invoices, the estate will submit funds to cover the expenses. Okay, the new ambulance should have a plaque in memory of her parents. Any questions?
Thank you.
Don't thank us. Thank Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie. That is absolutely wonderful and certainly needed. I'm sure Chief Coleman can speak to that.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to thank, first and foremost, Deborah Vergiglio for her generous donation. When Mr. Shinet came into the office shortly after her passing and told me the instructions that were left within her will, I was blown away. This is not the first time that we have been willed money to our organization, and I'm proud to say it's because of the impact that we leave on people, especially our elderly residents in their time of need, and it's just an amazing, donation. It's an unbelievable amount of money, and to commit it for that purpose, it's a wonderful thing. I do want to thank the executors, although this is my first time tonight going to meet two of you. Mr. Shinet kept me abreast of a lot of the challenges that you faced over the close to a year to get that estate settled. It was a lot of work, and I want to thank you and say that you guys did an amazing job on executing that duty. As Mr. Shinet mentioned, this ambulance is being donated by Mrs. Virgilio, and there will be a plaque installed when the truck goes in service that will say, in memory, this ambulance was donated by Deborah Farnham Virgilio in memory of her parents, Earl W. Farnham Jr. and Marion Kingdom Farnham. That will be a plaque that will be in the ambulance that will sit there for all to see in terms of where that generous gift came from. That's all I have. Just thank you very much.
All right, excellent. Anything from the board? Yes?
I just have one question. Do we have to accept it with the plaque? I mean, I don't consider it infrastructure, so whatever you do, that's fine. I just don't want to accept a gift with a requirement that anything be named. Whatever you choose to do, because I don't believe it falls into the infrastructure, which would be a board decision if that was going to happen. I don't consider this that.
Yeah, I will just say that it was written in the will that the gift of the ambulance, the fully equipped ambulance, it was specifically named in the will that there be a plaque affixed somewhere on the inside of the truck that said it was a donation on behalf. I would concur. We went through this when we were talking about the Chief Bellhuma Training Facility. I would not consider this to be infrastructure. This is a rolling stock vehicle that does have a life expectancy, of 10 years. So I don't think that this fits the intent of what. And again, the ambulance isn't being named in honor. The plaque says donated by. So I don't think it meets the criteria of what the board's policy is on naming infrastructure.
Mr. Mill?
I just say thank you.
Yeah,
Very generous.
I put it on the side of it.
Yeah.
I agree. I would love to say thank you as well.
All right, and with that, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept with gratitude and that a letter be prepared for the chairman's signature.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Carpenter?
I'm going to abstain.
Mr. Chambers? Okay. Ms. Ruffey?
Yes.
And the chair is a yes. It is a vote. Thank you very much again. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a donation from the Department of Public Works in the amount of $1,000.
I'm going to make a motion that we accept with gratitude and that a letter be prepared for the chair's signature.
Okay,
Second.
motion and a second. Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffey?
Yes.
And the chair is a yes. Okay. All right, moving on to proclamations and recognitions. We have a request for the Eagle Scouts for a proclamation, and you should have a letter enclosed in your packets. Okay, did everyone get that, the information submitted?
Yes.
Do you have any questions, concerns, comments?
Just a general question through you, Mr. Chairman. Has DPW and Parks seen this, and are they okay with, it would be nice to have their sign off, because they're gonna be kind of responsible for making sure it's installed and things like that.
I don't know the answer to that.
I believe this was already done, correct?
Yeah, I believe it has. I don't know if Joanna was going, Joanna's on the board.
Good evening.
Hello.
I'm sorry, I wasn't sure what was on the agenda. Are these the bat houses?
Yes.
Yes. So we've been involved with the Boy Scout and his family, and they've been keeping us updated on the project.
Okay. But this is a new, sorry, Mr. Chairman, through you, this is a new application, or I know we did have one earlier where somebody was putting bat boxes, but I understood this to be a new request. Am I mistaken?
I don't believe it's a...
I'm sorry. I'm reading through the letter, and it looks like they're just looking for recognition for him for completing the project.
Yeah, I believe this was the
I did not pick
previous...
that up. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was a little confused, because this is a proclamation.
Through the chair, I think that there was a separate bat project. This is
Yes.
bat and helmet. I know baseball, it gets confusing. One was animals. And this one was, I believe, completed for bats and helmets in the dugout area.
The holders.
Okay. I missed the bus on that. I don't see anywhere here where they're asking for a proclamation, but I'm happy to make a motion that we issue a proclamation to the gentleman for doing that work.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffey?
Yes.
And the chair is a yes. Okay. And moving on, we have a letter of resignation, from the Finance Committee. Hand that over to the town manager.
Thank you. We were informed that Diane Byrne, for a number of reasons, is not interested in being reappointed. That being the case, there is a process where the Board of Selectmen appoints the Finance Committee member. So we wanted to get this moving along, so we would be in a position, hopefully, to have a new member on board upon her last day. So we will see what application we have filed, we'll advertise, and we'll keep you plugged in terms of conducting interviews in a future meeting.
Just a quick question, Mr. Chairman. Is this an at-large seat or is this a precinct seat?
Do you remember what precinct she was in, Diane? I don't know offhand.
Oh, she's in one,
One?
yes.
She's in one.
Precinct.
Well, we'd have to look at the composition of the members to see what precincts are available.
Okay. All right, moving on to town manager items. You didn't need any vote on that or any authorization?
No.
All right, no. All right, we have an update on the biohazardous waste remediator by the fire department. Was actually able to see it in person this weekend at the chamber events. Good evening.
Excellent. Good evening. Yeah, this is some very exciting news. I know in the past, Mr. Carpenter has asked me about an update on it, so I thought we'd come to the board and let you know where we're at with it. We took delivery of the machine a few weeks ago. They came, they installed it. We went through a training class, and we're just about ready to open it up to the public. We've been working with the Board of Health here, getting some flyers ready, and getting the message out to the community that we're going to be taking the needles. So most of the details are ironed out, but the machine works great. We've done some test runs on it, and we just want to give you an update and really happy about this project.
So it'll take needles and other biohazardous materials and put it down to like a dust?
It turns it into about that size, maybe a quarter of an inch. It grinds it all up, puts it into a little bucket, and then when you're done, you take it and you can throw it in the regular trash. It sterilizes everything and grinds it. It's pretty neat.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, pretty neat. So I think in the end, it's going to be a great cost savings to the town. It's going to be a great community project for everybody to come in and drop off their needles that are in town.
Excellent, excellent. Any questions from the board members?
I do. I need to know if this is something that I can recycle, or if it does have a needle. So I don't want to throw it in the trash, but it is self-contained, so I knew you were coming tonight, so I figured I'd bring it, and you could look at it and let me know. You don't have to do it right now.
Sure. Yeah, it would be something that we would take and we'd put it in the pile, and put it in and grind it in the end.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
If I may.
I'm sorry, I just have a quick question. Are there going to be needle boxes around town, or should people bring them to fire headquarters?
So the plan is that they are going to bring them to the fire headquarters, where we have a drop box, the same one that was in the CVS at the time. They'll come in, they'll have to show their ID that shows they live in town. They'll put the needles in the drop box, and then we'll take care of it from there.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Coyle?
It gives us a chance to refresh the program that we had very successfully for about 8 years. We had to take a hiatus for the past year to try to figure out how we could do this and keep it local, sustainable, and figuring out how we maintain it and get the supplies for it. We are over the top, so excited. This is a great thing for the residents and our community.
Okay.
Well, I have a quick update on the community preparedness that we used with ARPA. All the DFibs have come in. They have been placed throughout town, other than a couple that should be next week. And then all the go bags for the schools have been in place, other than 2, which will also be placed next week. So that has moved forward as the equipment has come in. We've put that in place, so.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Yes?
Is that with the remote notification on the maintenance of it, right?
Correct. Those are the DFibs that have the Wi-Fi connected. We're still working with IT to get that part up and running, but at least the machines are all in place. And then the IT's working with our EMS coordinator to get that all done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Progress, I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on, we have update on the housing production plan.
So I know Darlene was instrumental in making this happen. I know we heard the board at the last meeting, actually heard from Mr. Corain, from his public comments. We were able to work out a mailing that is going to be attached to our solid waste billing in early June that will contain and make reference to the actual survey. So the outreach is going to hit roughly, how many, 6,000? 7,000 households. I know we send out about 7,200 tax bills. I think the solid waste may be a little less than that, but certainly that's at a cost of about $204. So we were able to do that without doing a separate mailing. We talked to Kelly and Ryan, who sends out our tax bills. We've worked it out with him. And the grant that we got for the housing production plan itself will absorb the total cost of that mailing. So no cost to the taxpayers.
Excellent. Any questions? Okay. All right, moving on, we have an update on the development agreement for Perry Place. And I see that the applicant is here this evening. Good evening.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Jim Benincasa, Berry Place. So I wanted to go through the last couple of things that I guess the board was interested, I think, in discussing as far as roadways and everything. Some questions. Do you have that list that we kind of went through last time by any chance?
I did not bring it with me. I may have it here. Talking about the sidewalks, road maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here it is here.
So as far
I don't know
as-
if you want to refer to the items on there?
Okay. So I guess to go down the list, as far as sidewalks and everything, I know you guys were interested in doing sidewalks going down Perry Place. So we did look at the width, and it's a variable width road. So it would be very complicated to put sidewalks going down those roads. I think it was sidewalks, drainage, and then a top coat over those. There would be a lot of damage that would actually be caused to the neighbors going, in front of there, taking the property, going into their driveways and whatnot. Is that something that you guys are stuck on as far as a sidewalk going all the way down? I guess kind of more here to pick your brain to see where you're at with this thing, if it's worth trying to take a look at it, if this is kind of more of a line of, we want you to say no and go directly to the state, or if it's more of a, we want to work together kind of thing, just to be completely blunt and honest.
Anybody who knows me knows that I don't like to hear no.
Then you got what?
Probably the best thing to do is set up a site walk, try and find availability, and we can discuss it.
Because the only way that we could possibly do something, and I did have a meeting with the water department, is obviously reduce down to what we're going to do for them, right? So there's obviously a certain number that we've allotted to doing what we call off-site improvements. The issue that we had was obviously kind of coming out of the gate with that water, with doing what we did for the water department, kind of really blew our budget of what we can do. So I did go down to the water department, had a conversation with him and told him that, we're probably not gonna be able to do everything that we said that we were gonna do for him. He said he was gonna speak to the board, didn't really give me one feedback one way or the other, right? Obviously wasn't overly thrilled about it. So I think to do drainage and to do all that, it's just gonna be totally out of the question of what's even possible, what's even, manageable on that site or in those roads, the existing roads. This is obviously not brand-new roads that we're building here. So we have to work with what we have too.
Mhm.
So, I guess more to, When you looked at it, from Auburn Street, are you talking left side or right side? Or did you look at? So if you were if you were coming from our community out, I was assuming more on the left-hand side is where we would put, a sidewalk. I'm assuming you're not looking for sidewalks going down both ways. It would just be a major disturbance, right?
I think we'd be looking for one side. I just didn't know what side you looked at, and if one side had more of an impact than the other.
I think if you're leaving the community, coming out to stay on the left-hand side, would probably be less of an impact than going than on the right-hand side. The major issue was gonna be, as it was brought up, was drainage. Right now, there's no drainage in that road. In order to get drainage in that road and then get it to discharge, obviously, it's just, it would be almost impossible to do. We'd have to have infiltrators, and, that would be a major job, which really wouldn't be possible. Obviously, everything's always possible, but to a certain number.
Engineers always tell me with enough money,
You can do
anything's
anything.
possible. I've never quite believed that. So, my feeling is, and I don't know what the other board members think, and obviously through the manager, asking the DPW director to, let's have a site walk, show me, what challenges you have, and, we'll have a discussion.
Okay.
Ultimately, for me anyways, just speaking for myself, they need to be able to walk on their street.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anybody's going to disagree that your development is going to put major traffic, as you would very much just explained on a road that is not suitable for that kind of traffic. So, and we do have a policy about trying to improve roads. So, you know, that is something that I think is important and, you know, is a win for the neighbors. But, you know, I would hold off until we do a site walk and see what the challenges are.
Okay.
I believe there was proposed road improvements as well, and you're saying that the sidewalk addition would change the requirements for filtration and drainage?
I think the drainage thing would become a bigger issue. That would be something that's pretty major to get the drainage in there. Obviously, right now, everything's running off. It's, you know, there is no drainage in the road. It's an old country road, which is not an uncommon thing.
Yeah, I
right?
don't think it drains, I think it's just wet.
There's that one section where there's, you know, the flood zone where we're lifting it up. It's not wet. It's not, you know, you're not driving down the road and it's squishing all over the place. It is a public road that does act as a public road. So it's not, the road's not terrible. It's not great. The section that we initially from Pearl Street on, that's like an old oil and sand mix, I believe. It's really not asphalt.
So I guess if we're to do a walk, I would want to know what that difference in calculation means, because I do think there's got to be some work that needs to get done regardless of the sidewalk, so whatever that offset or cost differential, I think is.
In what way?
So if you're improving it and you're just gonna let it run off, but you have to raise it up, so you can't just let it run off. Otherwise, you're flooding out the people on the right-hand side if you were leaving, right? Because it all stays there. So, like, and again, I'm not trying to do it, and I know it's gotta go through everything
I think
else.
our impervious number would stay the same, and the runoff would still go in the same direction that it's going in now. I don't think we'd create any more. We were not looking to create any more impervious and create more issues. I think it would be, if anything, going down. There's only that one section where we did plan on raising, which, you know, that one, is that what you're saying? Is that one section that for the flood zone?
So in my head, I don't have the whole project in here. I'm not trying to overstep what zoning and all that is, but I'm just saying if you're saying that it really can't be done, but you're gonna do improvements anyway, I wanna know why some improvements are acceptable and others aren't, and what that is. So again, not the engineer, not trying to tell you what has to get done there. I'm a big proponent of the sidewalks. I would like to work with you guys on that, because I think it's gonna be a cost to the taxpayers at the end of the day, once we start having a lot more traffic on that road. And I mean, you're right, it is narrow, varying width. And I do see people walking that road currently, so with increased traffic, I just see a lot more accidents or potential for accidents, so.
I have to say, in my personal opinion, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there tonight, that the water district plan is going through no matter what, even if you'd like additional fundings don't go to it. And I like the idea of the sidewalk, but I'm not sold that it should hold up this project. I honestly think the water district is more important. It affects 90% of the town instead of the less than 10% that live in that area. I get it. I would like them to be safe as well. But as far as saving the taxpayers' money, I think the better use of that money is going to a project that's already gonna happen. And and I've talked to some taxpayers, and some people agree, and some people don't. But I personally think funding something that we know is happening is a better use of that money.
I agree.
Yeah. That's why we're here. So do we want to go to the next item? I just want to keep focus here for everybody. I feel like the developer's here saying, he's asking for guidance on specifically what's needed. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is this going to be feasible based on the new asks, or is it not? Okay, so.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm looking for. Like, you know, am I running down where no matter what we do, what we're going to say, we're going to get a no? So is that the case, or is it the fact that, you know, we can work together to try and accomplish
So
this
clear
together, then
guidance
great.
at these
Because it's
meetings
really
is
all, yeah, exactly,
Very important.
exactly.
Okay. So we're going to look to arrange a site walk. That's fine for a board member to go on a site walk with DPW?
We would
Yeah,
just
yeah,
po-
I think-
we just post it,
Okay.
just like you would on a planning board
Just
or a
on any
ZBA.
meeting? Yep, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, so we can schedule that. What's the next item that we were looking at?
I think that's really the biggest, honestly.
the biggest
There was that, I mean, there was something in here as far as, you know, plowing the roadways, we just literally, I mean, we can't. That's just for liability reasons and whatnot, we literally just can't, but.
That was discussed in our meeting as well, and town administration felt the same, that possibly bonding and have in perpetuity maintenance of a road that's already a public road calls into question the legality and if it's something that's even possible. I don't know the answer to that.
But is Perry Place a public road?
Perry Place is not a public road at this point. I don't know if you'd be seeking, you wouldn't know, you're not seeking to make it a public way.
We would really leave it up to the abutters, whatever they want us to do. You know, with the section that's private, we could, you know, absolutely work on something with them as far as plowing it. If they wanted us to bring it up to subdivision standard, is that something that the town required? We could work something like that too. Obviously, if we're coming in and we're paving and widening and doing everything, it would make sense logically to have it accepted, but it would be more up to.
Mr. Carpenter, you said you wanted to have Pearl and Perry also maintained?
Not necessarily maintained.
Okay.
The sidewalk to go on, yes.
Okay, all right.
I didn't mean plowing. I just meant for this part that is the private way, that they take responsibility for the cost of maintaining that, because again, these abutters did not ask.
Okay.
And
All right.
they should not be, you know,
But you'd be seeking to build that according to specs of the town, if you're going to be submitting it to become approved by town meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume if we're gonna be doing all this, we might as well bring it up and get it.
Yep.
You know, typically whatever we propose, the abutters usually go against, no matter what we say, even if it is a benefit, but I would assume that the town would want us to bring it up to the standards, and you would assume the neighbors would want to do it, but we don't completely own that roadway, we do it with the neighbors, so the neighbors would have to go along with it as far as getting it accepted, I believe, or.
Yep.
Not really sure exactly how that end of it works. We
Yeah,
have the
it
right
gives them
to
the right to
improve it and
pass
do
and
everything and
repass
pass
and
and use, but we don't
push it to the
have,
center
right,
line,
I think,
yeah.
as far as getting it together, I think that would be something I don't know if the neighbors have to.
Yep. All right. Were there any other matters, or was that the big one?
That's the biggest one, really, because that's really the biggest by far, right? Because if we can't work that out, then it's
Yep.
just not worth.
And to be clear, that would be, it's either sidewalks or the contribution towards the redundant well project.
Correct.
All right.
And that's the conversation that I had with Greg. Obviously, I didn't come here without speaking with Greg first, and I just said, Greg, we'd have to look at whatever they're asking us to do, whatever that number is, and deduct it from whatever, we're doing for him. So I don't know what would be left and what we could do, but, we're kind of at a number right now, so.
Okay. All right. Any other matters that are worth, again, for clarity purposes?
no, just as I said, if it's something that is agreed to and the ZBA, and however, we need to assign a number to it and figure out how those dollars, they don't go away just because ZBA says, I don't think that's a good idea. Those dollars need to flow to the town in some acceptable way. So that's a big point for me anyways. I can only speak for myself, so. But
And that's speaking to the Perry Place private portion. Okay. All right.
So, I don't usually say things just to get to a no, so I'm trying to strengthen it, so that's why I'm doing it. I don't just, if I wanted to say no, trust me.
You've said it before.
I would have said it 3 weeks ago.
Right.
I am on the ballot in a week, so, there are some people who, there might be votes in that for me, but that's not why I sit in this seat to get votes, when I'm making decisions. So I don't typically do things just to get to a no at some point.
Okay.
So,
Anything else, Ms. Ruffey?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I believe we'll just put this off until we can schedule the site visit.
Is that something that's fairly quick as far as timing wise? Is that usually within?
How quickly would that?
All depends on the availability of who's going to do a site visit on the board.
It would have to be after the election, I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
So,
When is the election?
16.
A week from
16th.
tomorrow, yeah.
Okay, all right,
So they can be scheduled thereafter. Okay.
all right. That sounds good. And I'll go through Ed?
Yeah.
Yep, all right, perfect. All right, I appreciate it.
thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, we have no tabled items, we have no select board items. Did the members have a chance to review the minutes? Sharon did email them over separately today. I told her that I felt that was proper, but if you didn't have a chance to review, we can certainly put it off. It's your call.
No, I thought they were fine, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll accept those minutes as presented, and do we have a motion to adjourn?
Well, before we do that, we might want to say something nice about you. Mr. Chairman, come on, it's your last meeting. And you said you might come back, so I might be here,
That
so
was more of a warning.
I'm not afraid. I do just want to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I certainly enjoyed serving with you, and, you know, I'm absolutely understand why you're choosing, and I think that's a wise choice for anybody. I think it's very hard for anybody who has children to do any sort of government service, because that's really your full-time job.
Yeah.
So I wish you well, and maybe we'll see you in the future.
Thank
But
you.
as I say to every other member, and Mrs. Goodrich has taken me up on it, don't be a stranger.
Oh, I won't be. Thank you.
I'm sure we'll,
I too quickly, Scott, wanted to say thank you for serving, and it's been a pleasure to get to know you, and to be on the board with you.
Thank you.
I fully expect we'll work together in other capacities. You're not leaving town. I know you deeply care about it, so we'll see you in other capacities, and I appreciate your time on the board, this board and other boards, and all your other commitments, and I encourage everyone else to get involved, and I think you're a role model for that, and hopefully more people will follow in those footsteps, and we get more action. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, and with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
All right, motion and a second. Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffey?
Yes,
And the chair is a yes. That is a meeting. Good meeting, guys.
thank you.
This conference is no longer being